Hey guys, it's the Dungeon Master. Welcome to the channel, and thank you for joining me. So the topic of today's video is going to center around the player in Dungeons & Dragons. The last couple of videos I've made have centered more around the Dungeon Master, or the Game Master, if you will. This video is going to focus more on the player, on the role that they play, and the sort of DM-player dynamic that goes back and forth in each session. I'm going to go over what you need in order to play the game, and what the entire point of playing the game is. First and foremost, the dynamic between the Dungeon Master and the players. Let's say for a moment that the Dungeon Master directs the players to a nearby settlement. If one of the players walks in and begins indiscriminately killing people, that's not going to go over very well for the rest of the party. This is the responsibility the player has to the other players in the group. The responsibility that all of the players have to the Dungeon Master is to ensure that they play the game to the best of their ability in order to give the DM more material to work with to keep the story rolling. The DM's responsibility to the players, of course, is to keep the story going, while making the story as entertaining and engaging as possible, while also realizing that the players are characters within the story that they do not necessarily have control over. Let's move on to the materials needed to play the game. So first and foremost, the most important thing that anyone playing the game will need is pencil and paper. Pencil is pretty self-explanatory, and paper can come in almost any form. Graph paper, college ruled, spiral notebook. I use this thing. I'm pretty sure it started out as a dream journal, but I kind of ripped out about the first 10 pages, and I just kind of use it now for my Dungeons & Dragons ideas, schemes, and dropping pages in the middle of a video. The next thing that anyone playing the game is going to need is a set of polyhedral dice. If you have no idea what I'm talking about or no idea how to use these things, see my latest video. We have, in order, the D4, the die with 4 sides, the D6, the die with 6 sides, D8, D10, D12, and D20. Now some may refer to this as the D100. I believe I did in my last video. I believe that's actually incorrect. This is just another D10, but when coupled with the first D10, you can roll them together to roll, let's say that was a 98. So you can roll them together in order to simulate a die with 100 sides. Now these are going to be used for all different types of things throughout the game. If you're trying to pickpocket somebody, if you're trying to force open a door, if you're trying to persuade somebody you are who you say you are, or you're not who you say you're not. This was what you're going to use for that, the D20. If you're rolling damage with a dagger or other simple weapon, D4, short sword, D6. I'm pretty sure I'm getting these right anyhow. So that's what those will be used for. Pretty much everything in-game. The next thing that you are going to need as a player is a character sheet. It looks kind of like this. It allows you to keep track of your level, health points, all of your skills, gear, money, and other such information about your character. It's very helpful to have one of these close at hand in order to know when you are able to cast spells you need to cast, and what sort of weaponry you have on you for combat encounters. The last thing that you as a player will need is a place to store and organize all of your things. A 3-ring binder would do very nicely, but in a pinch, you can use one of these. Just an old folder you have laying around somewhere with a couple of pockets inside to organize and store all of your things. Mainly papers and such. And now we come to the most important part of the entire video. Why we play. You do not play the game of Dungeons & Dragons in order to win. There is no winning the game. You play the game in order to have a good time with your friends. The entire goal of the game of Dungeons & Dragons is to have fun. So to review. Firstly, players will need paper, pencil, dice, a place to store it all, and a healthy imagination. Players also have a responsibility to the other players as well as the Dungeon Master to keep the narrative, the roleplay, the storyline, and the combat going. Lastly, if you're not having fun playing the game, find another game. Because if you aren't having fun playing with your friends, you're not going to get anywhere. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you in a future video.